Holo Gelato Familia. It is George, the Disney Italiano, coming to you with another Holo Gelato Live. We got Lucas Kim back in the house, freshly off of several destination locations that he has come out actually to California for Disneyland and also FanFest at Universal Studios Hollywood. But we're also going to dive back into, no pun intended, his cruise aboard his very first ever Disney cruise. And we did a part one. I believe it was like a month or so ago, but I wanted to do part two because there was a lot more that he wanted to discuss. Plus, I wanted to wait till I was done off of my Disney cruise on the Disney Magic with Abby, so that way we can kind of discuss everything and yeah, dive right into it. But before we do so, Mr. Lucas, how you doing today, sir?
Doing good. I'm glad to be back home. It's been a long trip, and also it was kind of a torturing trip actually too at the same time because I actually spent my entire week on Crocs and I didn't wear any sneakers, so I ended up getting a lot of like feet ankle tendonitis, like Achilles tendonitis, as well as like plantar fasciitis, all going all over the place. But at the same time, it was all fun and everything. Um, I originally I wasn't really planning on going to Universal Fan Fest or Disneyland or the Disney California Adventure. It was really just focused on Final Fantasy 14 Fan Fest Expo that was happening at Anaheim Convention Center that weekend. So that was
Nice. So you got a little taste of everything, and I love the hat, by the way. I could definitely
thank you.
tell that came from Universal. But before we dive into everything, let's we got Mademoiselle in the house. We have Kev on the go, and Mademoiselle. Abby and I were going to get tickets for Star Wars Celebration, but we decided to just opt out. There's just a lot going on. In 2027, and I decided to opt out. But just for kicks, I decided to just jump into the virtual queue just to see like how it was moving. And actually, as of now, as the live's going on, it finally let me in. But I saw that everyone was posting online that all the VIP and all the 4-day passes were already sold out. So I mean, it didn't surprise me, but I just feel like right now, like I feel like Star Wars is getting back on their feet, especially after what I've seen with Galaxy's Edge bringing the original Star Wars characters in and everything. But I feel like there's just like not enough for me as far as right now that I feel like they can really fill up a full 4-day convention just on Star Wars alone. But maybe they'll prove me wrong. We'll see. Especially with Filoni and Favreau at the helm of a lot of these projects. So I will say I was not I don't want to say a fan because obviously I haven't seen it yet, but I kind of had a hard time thinking of seeing like Ryan Gosling in the Starfighter. But after seeing him in Project Hail Mary, I actually have some hope for that movie. Because I thought that was a really good movie and I thought he did really well with it. But in any case, I'm going off of the ledge here. And then, of course, the hollow to my gelato, Abby saying hello. So, Lucas, where would you like to start with? What do you want to start off with the cruise? Do you want to finish that last? Do you want to get into the California stuff first?
I guess we can kind of talk about the cruise a little bit, but and then we'll go right straight into my bizarre adventure happening in Disneyland and so forth.
All right, sounds good. So there was a lot more that you wanted to discuss that we didn't get to do with the part one of the discussion. So what else would you like to discuss for your cruise? Which ship did you go on again?
It was Destiny.
Destiny. Okay.
I mean, like as you can see, like I think the biggest like the part about Destiny comparing to Adventure, I guess, is like I guess Destiny's pull is definitely different comparing to other Disney cruises, I guess. Like I don't know. I don't want to like kind of talk about how the cruises are like a little bit more kids oriented comparing to like teenagers or adult oriented when it comes down to Disney cruise. And I think that's like one of those things that adults might feel they get bored out of it if that's the case. The only thing that would makes them enjoy that part of the aquatic part, it would be probably like Aquamouse, sled. I think that would be a one-time kind of thing that people might enjoy, but at the same time, there's not really like a deep pool or anything like any like multiple slides. There was another slide, but that's pretty made for kids more than anything. So and another complaint that I had was like the jacuzzi for adults. There's only one jacuzzi for Destiny, and it was really packed around the time it was very chilly and so forth. So most of the people actually ended up staying inside the cruise because it was like 60 degrees outside in general during January. And some of the people have told me that like even for Bahamas or like the warm climate during January, they said that it should have been like around between 76 or 80 even during January, but they don't understand why it was like 60 degrees throughout the whole week right there.
Yeah, when we went on the Magic just a few weeks ago, it was pretty chilly. Like we took our swimsuits just in case if we wanted to go in the water or the pools or anything. But when we got up to the upper deck, it was just too cold, and we're like, "Nah, we'll pass." But
yeah. My biggest complaint about the cruise, well, it's more than the cruise. It's I think I kind of like went over a little bit about the island, the private island, the Castaway Cays lighthouse. What I don't understand is this is a billion dollar company, and why don't they actually have like a locker or a dressing room within that island? But they want the customers to get changed inside the bathroom instead of like behind the toilet. That never really made any sense to me. Like do they not want you to get changed, or do they like just that never really I never really understood that. And one of the cast member agrees that like it was kind of bizarre thing for a company to not build a separate standalone dressing room.
I think when it comes to for Lookout Key in particular, I feel like that there's a lot more room for growth. I feel like when they opened it, it's substantial, but I feel like that there's more that needs to be added. It feels like that it wasn't fully ready for prime time. I will say that the water at Lookout Key is much more crystal clear blue than Castaway Key, but I mean Castaway Key will always have my heart. It's just that island that was like there from the beginning of the conception of the Disney Cruise Line. I do love Lookout Key, but I feel like even the logistics to actually get on the island, get to the specific beaches and everything, it just feels like it was a lot more work than what it would be on Castaway Key.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. But also, but I will say that comparing to the stateroom that I've seen on the Disney Adventures, I think Destiny has a better layout for the indoor and then the oceanside stateroom. I actually looked at some of the 4 bunk bed kind of thing version of that. I thought I was in a boot camp or something.
Yeah. And I do have to make a correction. Abby corrected me. Yes, we actually got off of the Wonder, not the Magic. The Magic we were on back in May, but we're going on the Magic again in September. So yeah, we just got off of the Wonder. So yeah, so minor mishap. Yeah, we were on the Wonder, not the Magic.
You know what you should do? Like, I feel like you and Abby should consider about doing a cruise in Margaritaville versus Disney Cruise and see what kind of nightmares you've witnessed in Margaritaville, and that like why Disney Cruise is like much better of a getaway instead.
Oh yeah, I could imagine. I could imagine. We got John Make It Rain in the house. Welcome in. Um, so when it came for your cruise, and correct me if we didn't discuss this already, maybe we did. When it came time for the food, um, as I said, I'm not sure if we like dive deep into the like the food as a whole, but
Okay, that's fine.
what was your initial thought of like the food offerings on the ship?
You know, the marketplace is my opinion is probably the best thing that I've experienced within the cruise, and let's be real. Like I know Bryson was like really criticizing, saying that like the foods and the at the marketplace is not so great and or luxurious or whatever he wanted to like criticize about. He, I I feel like that's for somebody who's been always going to those luxurious cruises, luxurious hotels, and luxurious foods and so forth. Your bars become really high, and then your standards become really high. So eventually, anywhere that you go, even for like the simplest burger at the Goofy section, you're gonna think that this is like a 1 out of 10 quality. I feel that's the reason why I didn't think about going to Palo for Disney Cruise because I knew that the bar, the quality and the bar is going to be much different right there. I think the foods are very very good, especially for kids. I think the foods that was made in that marketplace and not just only the Goofy and then the Donald's of Mexican food and so forth. Those were all fairly edible and probably much better than any of the foods that I've eaten so far at like a local area, but also Six Flags or even like Walt Disney World. Some of the foods down there, like just like a regular quick services, they're not that great. Like and Disney Cruise has definitely opened my eyes that the quality is still there right there.
Oh, okay, I agree. I agree. I think Disney Cruise Line has some of the top rated kind of food, whether you're in the rotational dining or if, as you mentioned, like you're at the buffet or in the outdoor little vendor areas. And I agree. I feel like especially if it's your first cruise, get the unless you're on a very long substantial cruise, get the feel of like the rotational dining and everything that's included with your package first before doing the add-ons like Palo or Remy or I've heard that I haven't dined in Enchante yet because that's in one of the I think it's on the Treasure, I think. But a lot of people say that it was very pricey, but kind of underwhelming. But again, I will experience it for myself to see what it's like. But Palo Brunch is really good. I highly recommend for anyone that has not done Palo. If you could pick or choose between the brunch or the dinner, I suggest doing the brunch. And but yeah, but I say go for like what's included with your package first, especially if you have more of a shorter cruise. And then if you decide to go back on, then you can kind of elaborate a little more with those restaurants. Do you have a specific food item or dish that stood out to you the most that you could say that was like your all-time favorite?
I'm gonna make a joke out of it, but kimchi was the most standard food that they gave me in the marketplace. uh, I'm joking because the kimchi they gave me at the marketplace was actually exactly the kimchi that I bought from Costco. So I'm gonna be real right now. Those kimchis are not gonna be made by the Disney cast members. Do you realize how fermented like and processed you have to make those kimchis, especially trying to feed 50,000 people in the cruise? That's never gonna happen. So they're
Yeah.
obviously they're gonna like buy like a bunch of containers from Costco and put it up there and put it in the buffet. So
Well, what was funny was when we got off the ship of our final day, and we were across the street from where the ship was, because we docked in San Diego. We were seeing like all the little forklifts taking in the big boxes and putting them in the ship and everything. So as you say that, I could see that there's just like boxes full of kimchi that's just being stored in the ship.
yeah. Okay, so for real though, my favorite food probably like that standed out probably would be venison food that I tried at 1928. I think that was the restaurant that I went to.
23.
19 what was that?
23.
23. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So um they cooked that venison very, very well. So I was very highly impressed. One of the biggest things that I actually was disappointed was actually the beef Wellington that they gave me at the Avengers restaurant right there. They I actually was given, I thought it was going to be as good. I never actually had a beef Wellington before, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna try this before I even go to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, I guess. And then after I tried that, they don't even give you a full version of the beef Wellington. They only give you like a one slice of it right there, and then they give you like that. So I was a little bit disappointed on that first part. And then the foods were kind of like breaking apart like, way too easy. From what I heard, like beef Wellington shouldn't be breaking that easily either. It's supposed to stick together well with the beef and then the bread part and everything. They said that it's supposed to stick together pretty well, but that never happened. So my result of that was like, my disappointments were immeasurable and my day was ruined. Not to mention, I actually had a food choking during that night. Actually.
Really?
Yeah. I actually was having a really bad food choking. So the cast members were actually around me, and then they were like trying to kind of worried that if they had to give me a Heimlich maneuver at that time. So
Wow. So were you able to get it
yeah,
down
I got it.
yourself?
Yeah.
Wow. Was it the Wellington?
Yes, it was a Wellington.
Wow.
And I'm gonna give it advice to everyone. Please chew your goddamn food very well. Especially when you're in cruise. Like there's not really a hospital out there to recover you or anything like that. So you have to
Yeah, like the only thing like they have is like they have like the clinic that's done in like the the bottom of the ship, like that can take care of like subtle things, but like if you have like a full blown like emergency, you'll be evac'd off the ship via helicopter, depending on where you're at.
Right.
But wow, that's scary. I've had several times by having a narrow esophagus where I have choked before. It is not fun.
Right.
But I do agree with you with the beef Wellington, because I actually had that. My first beef Wellington was on the one of the Disney cruise ships because I wanted to try it, because it was like so hyped up that was like Gordon Ramsay's signature dish and everything. I'm like, okay, I want to try this. And I do agree with you. It wasn't fully put together properly. I feel like it was only one. They usually get like the two part of the whole Wellington. Plus the duck pate that like holds the dough and the beef together is really not my cup of tea, but I still want to try actually like Gordon Ramsay's Wellington, because I mean that's like one of the things he's known for.
Hey, I mean, you're like probably like what 60 to 90 miles away from the Las Vegas to go to Hell's Kitchen. I guess you're probably way closer than I am.
Yeah, I would like to experience Hell's Kitchen like just one time. Just mark it off my bucket list.
I heard that it's not actual the TV show version.
No, it's the actual restaurant. I would like to do both. I would like to actually do the restaurant, but like somehow, some way, get like reservations to do while they're filming.
Mm-hmm.
But I probably should go in already full, because if I'm doing it at the beginning of the season, when the chefs all suck, then I'm not getting fed. So it's like,
Yeah, so word of advice, like if you guys are gonna like, if this is your first time going to cruise, just and you don't want to step up for like really high quality restaurant, you don't have to do it. The foods are very good enough as it is, and all the like the table dinings are really good, and then the cast members do their best to entertain you and then to satisfy you. They do everything, whatever you can to endure yourself in that cruise while you're having seasick or whatever, the like the claustrophobia you might have. So don't hesitate to like ask a cast member to do something for you, and not to mention enjoy your time right there, and eat all kinds of foods. And Edna's ice cream is really really good. The gelatos are really good. I would recommend that. And then if you don't feel like spending a gelato, they actually have their own softie machine up there for free that you can eat as much as you want too.
I know
So
I'm still pissed off at myself because on the first day of the cruise they had the blueberry flavor soft serve and I said to myself, I'll get it later. I didn't. I'll get it tomorrow. But the next day and the subsequent days afterwards, they never brought the blueberry out. It was only for the first day. And I'm like, damn, I should have got it when I should have had the chance.
yeah. And then also, if you have missed any of the movies at the theaters, possibly, they have all the new movies premieres within that cruise right there. So don't hesitate to take step inside and watch it if you want to. That's also another thing. And then there's also bingos are also pretty fun. People are actually nice. I don't know how that bingo system worked, but the guy, like the two people next to me, were very nice enough to help me out how the system works, and that was also fun.
I played the bingo. It's actually really fun, and I was one number away from $2,600, and oh man, I lost it by one number.
Yeah, same here actually. Let's see another one. Oh, the drawing activity is also pretty fun too. If you're into drawing, if you're into crafting something and to put into a magnet, those were also fun. I actually did both of them, and this is just like once in a while, like you think that you can draw Goofy or Mickey Mouse, but it doesn't go the way you think it is, and then you kind of understand the feeling of how Disney Studio works when they draw something. That's just one of those things. So there's a lot of activities to do in that cruise. I like don't try to just like stay in your room and just like lie down there. The cruise, they made that room for the purpose of you, like trying to make you leave that room and then go around and do your thing and enjoy yourself.
I agree. And what I love about just a cruise in general, but like well, obviously for me, Disney cruise, because I never cruised with another cruise line, but I love how it actually feels like a vacation for me. It's like you could pace yourself, you can still have just as much fun, but you don't feel like you're on the clock, that you have to be at a certain place at a certain time. The hustle and bustle. Don't get me wrong, I do love being in the theme parks. I do love that rush at times, but then there's times where it's like I want it to feel like a genuine vacation, and I get that every single time I go on a Disney cruise. Every time.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just the Wonder that we were just on marked my 11th Disney cruise, so I am officially platinum status. So heading for Pearl. That's my next goal. I got 14 cruises ahead of me before becoming Pearl status, but in September that'll knock out 3 more right there, because we're doing a back to back to back, because it's a 4-night, a 3-night, and another 3-night. Mm-hmm. All on the magic. Was there anything else you wanted to discuss with Disney Cruise?
Not that I know of. I mean, like, if I keep talking about it, I think it's just going to be another 3 hours of endless discussion. We forget about Disneyland. And then I think that's that's gonna be, like I said, this cruise travel discussion. Um, I can go for 24 hours straight, and there would be no end to it.
Well, and actually, that really says a lot about just Disney Cruise Line in general. That if you can actually have so much to say about it, that means like there's so much to it. And I completely agree with you. Like, just the cruise line alone could just be a whole like full on conversation in itself.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I think we covered, I think like mainly like the other like logistics in part one. So I'll move over now to your California trip.
Mhm.
Now, did you start out with Disneyland, finish Universal, or was it vice versa?
So on Tuesday, when I arrived, the first thing I did was then I didn't go any of the parks. Actually, I actually asked a friend of mine to drive me around, and then I actually drove to Hollywood, the street area, and then I was like kind of like looking around, like some of the footprints or and so forth. Obviously, I found Donald Duck feet footprint, but not Mickey Mouse. At the China Theater at that area, and then after that, he kind of drove me around the Burbank, and then I was like standing in front of the Disney company building right there, and
Mm.
I kind of asked, "So, is there any way of chance that I can get invited into the building?" And then they said, "If you know a friend who's a cast member, then or a cast member or somebody who works for the Disney company, feel free to ask them to give you an invite." And that's what happened. So I actually know who works there, so I'm just gonna I'm just gonna like straight off the forward and ask her,
I've
hey.
I've been in there several times through D23. I've done the studio tour. I've done the world premiere of Disneyland Handcrafted, which I didn't know that it was going to be the world premiere. As I said, everyone was in all suit and ties and all gallied up, and then here comes me and Abby straight from the parks. We look like a couple of schmucks that to the to the world premiere. But other people, we bumped into Peter and Kitra from Ordinary Adventures, and they were in regular attire too, so we didn't feel that bad. So, but yeah, I've been on the Burbank lot several times, and we also were on there for we did a live taping of Shifting Gears with the show on ABC starring Tim Allen. So we got to see a live taping of that on the in one of the sound stages. So yeah, I've been up there quite a lot. It's actually really nice. I love being on the lot. It's just like the history of walking, basically where they made all these great films. I was able to go into Walt's office. It literally, you just have to like stand on the mat that they have, so it's like not like hindering the carpet. But every time they take us in as a group, we're all so very quiet. It's like we're walking into a church, which you don't have to be. You don't have to be quiet, but it's like it feels like a sanctum, that it's like Walt's presence is so heavily there. It's like you have the respect that you're just like you're quiet as a mouse.
Right, right.
So after going around like the local LA area, then what did you do?
Uh, actually went to this really nice the it's called unagi. Basically, it's a eel on top of the rice, unagi donburi, and then there's this one particular restaurant that they don't have enough seating, so you have to do a reservation. And I learned about this place before I arrived because they said that it's one of the best donburi in Los Angeles and probably on the West Coast, and it's been all over Instagrams and so forth. Uh, you know, um, so when I booked it, I think, and I tried it, it is definitely one of the best unagi donburi I've actually eaten in my life. So,
Wow.
and I would definitely recommend people whoever is like a food enthusiast and is not afraid of eating eel in Japanese restaurants. So,
I have had eel before. I had it in sushi form, and I had it like just as eel. It's like okay for me. I mean, I'll eat it. It's not like my top favorite, but I've never tried it at the place you have. Um I might have to try that.
Here's the thing about eel. The reason I decided to eat eel during the day before I started like moving around the parks is because eels are actually good for stamina, and then they actually kind of like get you worked up and everything. And obviously, you and Abby will you both you get your stamina and then Abby will enjoy hers, and then have a fantastic uh everlasting night right there. That's all I can say right there.
Okay. I actually did not know that about. So it's kind of like an aphrodisiac.
It's not an aphrodisiac. It's like kind of like, what should I say? It's a more like a energy drink, but rather the food itself is like just a kind of like gets your adrenaline going kind of thing right there.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm
Yeah,
getting me some eel then.
yeah. Not to mention, let's see. I did go to um like, what is it, the Anaheim Weston area, and that's where I stayed. And obviously, uh, I was gonna go to the Disney, downtown Disney, and I forgot that they usually close a lot of it, like in between 10 to 12 right there. It was very quiet, but I I don't know. Like, I seen a lot of roaches around the area recently, way more than I witnessed it last year within downtown Disney. That was like pretty crazy for me. And then there were a lot of kids playing around at 12 a.m. I don't know where these people are come from, but there was like that the grassy area right in front of the Din Tai Fung area right there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, the kids are playing a lot of so much, like even like late at night. And I feel like those are like just local California people too. I was like, don't you guys go to sleep? Is there like no sleeping zone in
That's
California?
that's actually, yeah. Being out here in California, I always ask, like, yeah, do people go to bed? Like, do people go to sleep? Like, do they go to school? Like, it's just like, yeah. But I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, that grassy area where they have like that outdoor stage area constantly. There's like not a time of day that there's not a whole bunch of kids playing on that. Like, they just go hog wild on that thing.
Yeah, and then you know what's even surprising is that like I think remember like 2 years ago I was at D23 and then we went to like the restaurant really late at night,
Oh
and
yeah,
and
yes.
then my first question was, how in the world is the downtown Disney able to open until 12 a.m. but the Disney Springs and the Walt Disney World likes to close around at like 9 or 10 or something like that. And
I
then
do find that very interesting. Yeah, because it's always the common misconception that I always think that at Disney Springs would stay open much later, and then it wasn't until, yeah, I was down there a couple years because I was so used to being out for downtown Disney, and I'm like, wait, why is everything closing? Yeah, it's like it's not even like 11:30 yet, and but yeah, there's things that stay open at downtown Disney well into almost 1 a.m. Um,
right.
and it's
Uh,
like, yeah,
I don't know why. I feel like it has to do with the vibe of the people, or probably, or even like now that I remember, Disney Spring used to be open for anybody who goes into the area, but now that area is heavily secured, where there's now only the people who are staying within the Disney property are able to visit Disney Spring now. So like any locals are not allowed to go in there. Like, and then also obviously they do like a heavy security check now too. So
yeah, they have. Yeah, they never used to have a like a full on security checkpoint, but I mean, it is what it is in today's time. They got to do what they got to do.
I think it also has to do with the increase of the Orlando population as well too. So that
Mhm.
was also the case, and the more people they start storming into the area, then the more the lesser the securities are able to like look after these people just like swarming into the area. So
Yeah.
it makes sense. And then continuing on Wednesday, I actually went to Disneyland. Obviously, that was my first park, and my biggest mistake was that I didn't purchase the Lightning Lane Pass Premier for $400.
Mm. Did you get the actual the Lightning Lane pass in general?
I bought the Lightning Lane pass in general in the first part in the morning. And also another thing is that comparing to Walt Disney World and the Disneyland, if you're using the app or Magic Band, usually the Magic Band automatically syncs well with the Walt Disney World's like the whatever is a ticket, whether it's a ticket or whether it's a annual pass, and links in and connects it much easier. But within Disneyland, apparently it didn't sync in well with the Magic Band Plus. So when I try to scan it, they're telling me that it didn't go through, and then they're like asking me, "Did you scan? Did you like link it to your Magic Band?" And I said, "You guys don't link it to your Magic Band automatically?" And they're like, "Oh, I mean, usually we do, but if you already have something in, if for some reason you're not linked to it, so you might have to connect it properly or something." And I like and it's manually just show my ticket and just went in. But what are you gonna do? Now the biggest issue that I had with the Disneyland, like everything was great about Disneyland. I'm just gonna say for the less so anybody was gonna ever like has like a that I'm biased or something. No, I'm not biased. I genuinely think that Disneyland in the like guest experience was so much better than Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom. That's just something I'm gonna just say. But the crowd was pretty crazy. Like I don't know if it has to do with the Fan Fest, the Final Fantasy Fan Fest that was an issue. I don't think that was the case.
I
I
don't
think
think so because this past weekend it was still very crazy. Like
so. I'm just assuming that the April time, end of April to early May is just always going to be that crazy. That's just my assumption right there. The weather is perfect, and kids are like kind of like on vacation or whatever, and also Star Wars a week right there. So it's just like whatever it is, it's just going to be that crazy. Uh, but overall, Lightning Lane. I should have just done the premiere. I didn't know that you can do premiere at any time for Disneyland, comparing to Walt Disney World. Because Walt Disney World, you have to actually be in a deluxe resort to get the premiere of Lightning Lane. $100 per guest. But over here in Disneyland, it doesn't matter whether you're the hotel guest or not within the Disney properties. If Even if you're not, you can still pay for that $400 to use on both parks at any time. I didn't know that. I just thought that doing the time version of the Lightning Lane was the only option that I had. If I knew that sooner, then I probably would have had more time to look around each of the parks and do more like interaction with those things. And I wouldn't have wasted 2 hours in a goddamn part of my language, but the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad.
oh yeah.
Oh my god! Like whoever made that ride on that waiting line, I wanna speak to that person because I just don't understand like why that waiting line is such a maze comparing to every other rides. Like I didn't expect like it was pretty crazy even for Space Mountain. I'm like, oh, Space Mountain, like I get it. It's old, right? So the maze the being maze line is like perfectly reasonable, but Mickey and Minnie's running a railroad, like what? I don't understand that. Like,
Yeah, it does have yeah, it does have a little bit of a stretch of a line. If it's like if you're going to be waiting for a while, you definitely feel the line. I will say that the queue for Runaway Railway out here, I enjoy it better than the one down in Florida because I just feel like that it actually feels like you're walking into Toontown. Actually, it feels more real than going into the Grauman's Chinese Theater replica and then you go into a cartoon. I don't know. I just feel like plus I am a little bit biased because they got rid of my great movie ride. I'm sorry. Like that's just I'm still very bitter about that. Uh, but but yeah, I can understand through the optics of because that you are a visitor and you're not out here as often that I can that's where I think a lot of people would say, okay, we don't understand why, but that's the optics because I used to be that. I used to be a visitor. And when I came out, it was like, okay, I have to utilize my time as much as I possibly can. I have to get on everything that I want and get my money's worth in a sense because it's like, well, I don't know when the next time I'll be back out. So it's a completely different feel and kind of urgency, if you will, when you go into the parks when you're a visitor as opposed to a local.
Yeah, and then also another thing that I was surprised of seeing was um comparing to Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom doesn't exactly have like the as you know the Rivers of America is like pretty much gone at this point.
Right.
But they actually but Disneyland actually had people riding the canoe with like a bunch of families together, and then going around the river. I think that's like a separate paid activity that you do, I guess.
The canoes, no, it's actually part of your ticket. You can go on. I did it twice. I did love the perception of like being down low on the river and looking up and everything. But I mean, it's a workout working that oar, and especially when you're with a group of people that don't know what the hell they're doing. Like I had a child behind me splashing water, and then I had a woman in front of me that literally could not hold the oar. She's like banging into mine. And I'm like, okay, someone's about to go swimming here in about 2 seconds because this is like
right. And then funny thing is I never saw that in Magic Kingdom. I'm not sure why that was the case. I think it has to do with like the alligators that might be swimming around that river. That was like their fear of doing so. But I've never witnessed that activity in Magic Kingdom as
yeah,
well.
I mean, the Rivers of America has been gone for quite some time, and it's something that I never really focused on. But yeah, I don't remember seeing the canoes at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Like,
So here's the thing. Like if I saw that type of activities a little bit more, then I probably feel a little bit less inclined to wanting that Rivers of America to be gone. I think I would have said, you know what, there's a lot of activities going on and that with people wanting to do those type of stuff. Then I think Rivers of America should be staying. But I didn't see any of those activities. The only thing that rivers at that time existed, like people gave a lot of excuses about like it cools the area or whatever. I didn't want that type of excuse. I wanted that like what makes that river so important, and then going into that island with less amount of people every day with like not enough activities going on. I feel that was a waste of space. But when I saw Disneyland and I saw that canoe thing going on, and then there's like a bridge to walk across and everything. I was like, this is the reason why you would need a Rivers of America within Disneyland, but like I don't see the purpose of existence in Magic Kingdom because people don't really do the activities and it's just a waste of space.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think with Disneyland, it serves a bigger purpose. You have the Mark Twain riverboat, you have the Columbia ship, you have the rafts that go over to Tom Sawyer Island, you have Tom Sawyer Island itself, you have the canoe boats, and they also utilize the island for Phantasmic.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you put all that together, yeah, it keeps that area alive, where with Magic Kingdom, yes, it was very tranquil. Yes, it had a nice landscape and everything, but I agree with you. I don't ever recall going into Magic Kingdom and everyone rushing over to go to Tom Sawyer Island. There wasn't a whole lot to do. It was a big chunk of land, and I would rather see them do something with it.
Right. That's the purpose of it. And also another thing is that like I can also see why people feel that Disneyland has like better like I guess composition and how they use their rooms and spaces and within the park right there. I was like, oh, this makes perfect sense. Why people love Disneyland because of like each of the spaces and each of the attractions that they're using is just perfectly well used and well like well articulated on what they're doing right here. When I went to that what is it, the Frontierland in the New Orleans area, I
Mhm.
was very highly impressed with the how the decoration of that, like around the New Orleans type of like a theme, like a street and everything. I said, so like now it makes sense why you and a couple of other people who live in California are telling me, Lucas, you have to understand like the Disneyland, you're gonna like if you have a very different feels to it, like and you're gonna have a different opinions. And yes, I actually do agree with that because um the area of that whole like the New Orleans area really like gave me a different view and perspective of how why Disneyland is so beloved. And not to mention like I think there was like a Club 33 right there, like around
There is
that corner. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was another thing. My biggest problem about the New Orleans area is actually the Pirates of the Caribbean line. That was like the real, like I said, that line is just like so messy and unorganized. I don't know. Like you have to, that line breaks through like in between like two other areas where people need to go through.
Mhm.
There's no way to get out of that. You have to
And
go
you don't
all.
really know, like, when you're trying to get in line on a
Yeah, yeah,
busy day, you don't know where the line starts and where it ends
yeah.
because you see people walking up, like, the little hill path, the little upgrade, and are they are they in line or are they just passing by? That's,
So
like, the
yeah,
hard.
so the line went all the way down to Haunted Mansion right there, like almost to the close to the entrance of Haunted Mansion.
Mhm.
So if you're like closer to wherever you're supposed to at the beginning of the Pirates of the Caribbean, but you don't want to ride the Pirates of the Caribbean, you want to just get go around and go back to the castle or something like that. You have to walk all the way back to the like the end of the Haunted Mansion area, and then go around it. And I just think that that is like the most like the stupidest thing that I've seen so far. Like I said, like while I love this park and all, but like I think they need to work on like organizing the lines or develop a better way to like do line management because this is just crazy.
I
Uh,
agree. Yeah, I agree with Pirates. Pirates can get very confusing, especially, like, when it's a very busy day or a very, very busy time of day, and it's like you kinda have to, like, maneuver your way either around it or to go through it.
yeah. So also another thing, the Indiana Jones is also another thing too. The line kind of like you have to break between in those lines where people are getting out has to go in between that line right there. So you can't really like stop that line like from getting out. So that is also another thing too. There's like a little in between the space right there where people there's an exit you have to get out, but there's a like a wait line on the left side and then another like entrance into the right on the right side.
Yeah, if Indiana Jones is backed up, they utilize the extra queuing space, but the problem with that is, you're right, as people are exiting out of Indiana Jones, and then it intertwines with the Jungle Cruise, and then, yeah, you have to, like, it's almost like you're waiting for, like, the street light to change, and it's like then they stop the traffic and then you cross over. It's like, yeah, that can get kind of confusing too when they have to use the extra queuing space for Indy.
Right. And my biggest favorite part of Disneyland was actually that as soon as you get in, the old classic car and then the old classic like the British type of bus right there uh,
Mm.
exists in Disneyland, and where you don't really see that in the Magic Kingdom anymore. And that was like the biggest thing that I think Braden was like complaining about, that like he was like kind of mentioning that those things used to exist and within Magic Kingdom. Um, but after when like quote Iger came like took over, that kind of like slowly died and disappeared kind of thing right there. But he's like saying Michael Eisner like during his time, those vehicles actually existed, and then the fire department thing was also a thing too back in Magic Kingdom. He was
Yeah,
saying
I
that.
will say a lot of the Main Street vehicles aren't really utilized that much in Magic Kingdom. Like, they have certain time blocks that they'll bring them out, but they don't run all day like they do at Disneyland.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed about that. I think that they should do that again because
Hmm.
I think that's like the biggest like key enjoyment or attraction to see that you see that like being cast members being like actively uh entertaining guests within the Main Street USA instead of just like forcing them to go around and do their shopping or just like standing in line like waiting for the parade or fireworks at least.
Yeah, I agree. I do. I miss it at Magic Kingdom. Believe it or not, it would be nice if they do bring them back. So with did you did you do any dining experiences at Disneyland Park?
Not in the park. Kind of funny thing is that I was planning to go eat something. Um, I ended up getting Ronto Roaster for the breakfast wrap. That was the only thing because I needed to eat something for the breakfast. And for the rest of the whole day until closing time, I didn't drink a single cup of water. I didn't eat a single meal
Wow.
because I was just like feeling that rush that I have to do all these attractions that I assigned myself into
Yeah,
for
that's
both
yeah.
parks. And I was like, if I for a second stop into one of these areas, I'm gonna miss that 30 to 45 minutes of a time right there.
Hmm.
And the worst situation that could have happened for me was actually Disney California Adventure was actually that's where the actual nightmare started, and I had to use Lightning Lane Premiere instead. Uh,
I feel like with DCA, the lines are a lot more gruesome than over at Disneyland Park.
yes, that was also another thing too, but that wasn't the case that made me wanting to use that. Actually, I had 3 hours left until both parks were about to close. So you can kind of imagine like how am I gonna manage all like the best rides within 3 hours with such a long
So
wait.
you only did a half day for Disney California Adventure. You never had a full day with it.
Oh no, I couldn't even do a half day because as I told you, Mickey and Minnie's running a railroad for the 2 hour wait line was not what I had in mind right there.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, and then a couple of friends that I met at the Final Fantasy 14 Fan Fest Expo, I was hanging out with them and I said, hey guys, I really want to go to Disney California Adventure, um, so I'm gonna like disband this party for now. I'm gonna go there all by myself. Um, and then I'm gonna figure something out about it. And so I ended up paying for $400 on that the fast Lightning Lane premiere. And the moment that I was getting on board at this Soarin', that was my first ride in the DCA. It breaks down.
Mm.
They told me there's a technical difficulties. I have to wait for like another 15 to 30 minutes. And I was like, oh great. What worse can happen? I was able to ride it, and then as soon as I got out, I started running down to Incredicoaster. At least there was no issue on that one. I enjoyed it. It was like one of the coolest thing. I wish I could have like looked over other attractions, but I didn't have time. So I just ran over to the Cars Land area, and then I rode what was that called?
Radiator Springs Racers.
Yeah, Radiator Spring Racer, and that one was also kind of a nightmare because like it broke down as soon as I arrived, and then
Mm.
there were no lines. Like people, like except the standard line, people have been waiting like for an hour or something like that until the areas got fixed. The people in the lightning lane just all left, and then I was like the only one right there. And then I asked them, so how long has it been breaking? And they're like, for about an hour or two. So
Yeah, that ride is notorious for breaking down or
yeah.
having issues with it, technical issues.
When they opened, so I was able to manage to ride it. It took like 30 minutes to 40 minutes of wait time until they got it fixed, and I was able to ride it, done, and then I rushed right over to Guardians of the Galaxy, uh, the one that replaced the Tower of Terror right there.
Yeah.
That one didn't even have a lightning lane reservation at that time.
No, it's almost like with Mission Breakout, you have to get like a lightning lane like right in the beginning of the day, like in the morning, because it's almost like the whole day sells out like as soon as the park opens.
Right. So that's the reason why about the premiere, because the cast member told me, like one of the cast member, like when I felt rushed, he's like, oh, you can buy a premiere, like that won't like a lot, that won't stop you from like reserving at any time, and you when if you scan it, they'll just let you in. So I said, oh really? I might as well buy $400. I should have done that before. And when I did, I'm glad that I did, because that Mission Breakout was like probably one of the best things that I've actually experienced. Probably even better than Tower of Terror, in my personal opinion. Like because the way that it drops, comparing to Tower of Terror, the sequence of that drop is actually so random comparing to Tower of Terror. Because the Tower of Terror, when it drops, you know that when it goes back and forth right there, but the Mission Breakout is all based on how many times the Groot actually clicks that button right there,
Yeah, that is
and
true.
you don't even know when Groot is actually clicking.
And then also too, yeah, you get different sequences, you get different drops, you get different songs, so it's like completely random. And I agree with you. I think that the tech system behind Mission Breakout, it is so more well advanced, excuse me, than the Tower of Terror, that once I go back on Tower of Terror after experiencing Mission Breakout, I'm like, okay, yeah, the drop, it feels a little bit out of fashion, where I want Disney World to keep Tower of Terror, but I would love for them to adapt the actual up to date tech of ride system that they use for Mission Breakout. That's
Yeah,
what.
yeah, that was the case. And then Web Slinger was pretty. I think it was a fun attraction. Um, I think it was like one of those things that could sync a little bit better, because every time I was like trying to use my arm to like do the web sling, it didn't sync very well. I don't know why. It's just like I think it has to do with like how you move your hand or something like that.
Web slingers can get very confusing because there's times where everyone's doing it at once, and it's like you don't even know like what you're hitting. You know,
Right.
it's yeah, it's an okay ride. Like I like to call that as like my filler type of ride. Like, but again, for you, that it's a different perspective because again, these are rides that you're not used to experiencing. So it's something new for you. And again, you're a visitor that would come over once every maybe couple years. So it's a different outlook than for someone for me that's in the park 3 to 4 times a week. And I'm like, okay, I could always go on at any time. I could go on it tomorrow if I want to, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, so I think looking at the optics of someone that is traveling, it's very interesting of how a visitor can see something opposed to as a local.
Right. So if anything, for those people who are barely visit California, or if you're just like, if it's your first time doing California and it's your first time trying to do both parks or something like that, whether it's a 1 day or 2 day, I would probably recommend the Premier Pass for the Lightning Lane. I know it's $400 per person, and it seems really a lot of everything, but especially if you're like your family or how many people you might have, or if you have a little kid, and then depending on the weather, like if it's too hot and too much and you're like stressed or something, I would recommend you to still pay for that money, even if it's expensive, only because it's just like it's not worth, like compare, like George says, it's like if you're regular who always has like an annual pass and going there, waiting in a line is not a bad thing. But even with the like Magic Key annual pass or something like that, I think depending on how big is your family, kind of thing, right there, you might feel overwhelmed of waiting forever, because the kid, some kid might say like, "But daddy, I'm hungry. Daddy, I'm crying. Like I need to go to the bathroom. Daddy, like," or even like your mom, grandma's just like say, "Honey, I gotta go to like, the bathroom or something." like I'm about to like like it's an emergency thing. And you have no other choice. So you're in the middle of that goddamn lane right there. It's still like, and you're still like not even sure how long you're gonna get on board that thing. So and you're gonna be like, Mom, we just went to the bathroom last night. Why are we going back again?
That would probably be something I would say. It's like, you went this morning, like you can wait till tonight, like you're fine. Like, and that's what I always I always say, like, I and that is actually really true. And even though, like, I make light of it and I joke around and everything, but it it is a great, when you take, like, like your whole entire family and a big group and everything, but you also have to be realistic that when you're dealing with a park like Disney, and it's constantly where, if you want to get your money's worth, where you're not at the end of the day saying, shoot, we just spent all this money to fly all the way out here to do two rides. And then it's like, why? It's almost like, yeah, even though it could be overwhelming to spend that amount of money, but I think, as a traveler, and if even though you have that many kids, I think the less time you have to wait, the less you have meltdowns, and then you can start, like, getting through those rides where everyone can kind of enjoy themselves. Cause yeah, like, it's like, you have, like, the little kid that's like, they're hot, they're tired, they're hungry, they're whining. And then you have great grandma that, like, has to go to the bathroom for the 15th time within the hour. It's like, yeah, I definitely get it.
Yeah, I mean, like, you have to understand, like, that. I understand that Disney, like, trying to charge people for $400 seems like, like they're now like trying to steal a lot of money from customers, and like I hear a lot of things like that. Like that they're overcharging customers. Is not it does not used to be like cheap type of park anymore, where it used to be $35 per ticket. The reality is this. It's like, back then, I'm pretty sure there was like not enough like social media or like popularity enough that people will like over 100,000 people will attend the park right there back in the days. So $35 was like a pretty reasonable kind of thing. But as you keep increasing the people to occupy within the hotel, and then trying to get them into the parks, and then trying to get them into like each rise and selling those stuff, and then the amount of people like working, then the price will just increase no matter what happens. It's just how it is. It's like increasing the gas prices. You know, it used to be 25 cents for gas, but now it's a $9 get for gas. And holy crap, I have like that's like one of the things that I wanted to rant about, because like when I saw that gas price in California, I was like asking my friend, how do you live with yourself, man? Like I just don't understand.
Yeah,
Uh,
the gas prices out here are extreme. They're very extreme. Like, you could definitely feel it. But also, there was something else I wanted. Oh, to your point of what you were saying, because I covered this morning with the Q2 fiscal 2026 earnings call, which this was the first for Josh tomorrow. And that, when speaking of the parks, the attendance was down 1% for quarter two. It was down 1%, but they hit record breaking revenue of $9.5 billion.
I believe that. Yeah, I actually believe that. 1% is not a like a doom posting where people will say, "Oh, Disney is dying. Like, there's not enough people like attending the parks anymore. The magic is gone." No, the magic is definitely not gone. It's like, what 1%? 1% is like really just like 1,000 people out of like tens of millions of people that actually attend the parks. Those 1,000 people are probably exactly the same people complaining on social media right now. They're like, the magic is gone. I am not going back there again. And then the normals are like, oh, they said that? They don't even care about what the social media said. They're just going there because they want to.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Was there anything else that you did? Did you see any of the nighttime stuff? Did you see Phantasmic? Did you see Wondrous, Paint the Night, World of Color?
I didn't actually go to watch Fantasmic. I actually right before the 10 o'clock parks closed, I was planning to go to Fantasmic, but I made a choice between whether to go for Final Fantasy 14 cafe that like that before they close at like 10:30 or something like that. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to a cafe because I came here for the expo for that reason. And that is a very limited event right there.
How was it? Just overall, the event.
Which one? The Final
The
Fantasy event?
Final Fantasy.
You have no idea. I actually thought it was like probably one of the most memorable event that I've ever been in for Final Fantasy itself.
Wow. Was getting a ticket like was it a challenge? Because I know a lot of like these convention type events are starting to get harder and harder to get tickets, especially like with D23 and even today with Star Wars Celebration that's coming out next year. There's people that are still in the queue waiting, and basically the VIP tickets and the 4-day tickets are already sold out.
Yeah, so about that. If you think that the D23 Expo tickets were hard to get, well, kind of expect the Final Fantasy 14 Expo is also almost the same level of like getting that ticket really hard. There's like there at the first phase it's like a lottery version of it, and then the second phase is like where everyone has to battle together to like battle each other to like see who actually wins the queue first, and then try to get it. That's just how it is. And as you know, we actually funny thing is that for Final Fantasy 14 Expo, the FanFest Expo, the location is exactly where the D23 Expo was, like from 2 years ago. And I was like, it's like felt like deja vu, and I was like, I'm back in here again or something like that. The only difference is that I don't have to go to that god awful Honda Center ever again. Oh my god, like. And then you know what's worse is like D23 this year is like they doubled the price of that of all the tickets right there too, and the seatings got like really bizarre as well. I don't know if you looked at the ticket options right there, like the seatings, like the premier, like the very best VIP seatings are all like now $2,700 for seating, and I was like, good lord, man, like what happened within 2 years? Did they just like decide to eat up all the cake right there or something?
Yeah.
What the heck is going on?
I think when once they saw how successful the last one was with the Honda Center, they're like, okay, people are willing to fork out this amount of money. So 2 years later, they jack up the price, and it won't even surprise me how much it's going to be in 2028 because that's going to be the second half of the $60 billion promise of the projects that they're going to announce probably, and then also the people coming out for the Olympics. So yeah, I could imagine what the prices are going to be in 2028.
And then like when I looked at that price, I was like, I surely hope that I like if I were to buy this ticket, I surely hope I don't run into those the Karen ladies I met 2 years ago. They're like, you're blocking my view. Like I paid so much money to get here, and you're ruining my experience.
Like you didn't pay that amount or more. Like you, oh my gosh.
And I was like, oh dear lord. And then she's like, you're clapping too hard. You're clapping too hard. My eardrums are blowing. I'm like, oh, for the love of God, like, and I said, listen, if you have a problem,
I remember you telling us that.
It was going on for 2 hours straight. And I was like, oh Lord, please, like, it's just like, and then for some reason they just stopped talking during the legend section, but for the park announcement, they just like completely like ruined my night right that night. I was like, oh, like. And like when it comes on the park, do they just like go like super Karen mode or something? Like I don't know what's going on. And her and her daughter were like, they're like, you know, you're being rude, but like your head is in the way. And I'm like, oh my god, now my head is in the way.
Like yeah, like you can really help. Like you're sitting. Like where are you supposed to go? Like
no, so I was like, okay, I'll slow my head down like this, and then I'm like, does that make you feel better?
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, does it feel better now? Because I surely am not. And I'm like, and then the last thing I said was like, you better hire me a chiropractor because I'm like, I'm dying here right now.
I remember that now that you mention it. But John Make It Rain had a question for you. Did you go on Roger Rabbit before they turned the spins off?
I have not. Like I said, my time was very precious, so I still miss a lot of rides that I wanted to ride, and I miss the Matterhorn because I know that Matterhorn was like a lot of things that George was like making a meme out of, like making a joke out of. So I was like, when I watched the Matterhorn, I was like, good lord, people are insane on riding that thing. That looks like they're ready to go. They're ready to get a disability right there. No offense to like disabled people. It's just like I'm gonna get like a freaking herniated disc just by riding that thing. I was like, no way in hell. I just got out of Space Mountain. I am not doing that. Actually, Space Mountain and Disneyland is so much better than Magic Kingdom Disney.
Exactly. Yes.
And when people tell me that it's like you're wrong kind of thing, I'm like, are you all like masochists or something? Or do you like get yourselves like get car accidents every minute or something? Because I just can't imagine myself getting like whammy every time. But people have their like preferences, whatever. Like it's up to you. But even for the Disneyland's, Tomorrowland looks much nicer comparing to Magic Kingdom actually, because at least Magic Kingdom's Walt Disney World's Tomorrowland doesn't feel like some like when you walk in, it feels like 4 or 5 attractions seems to be down except the Carousel of World Progress. That's just how it feels like.
Wow, that's interesting. I think it's so funny when it comes to Tomorrowland that how there's like two groups where you have one group that is convinced that Disneyland's Tomorrowland is better than Magic Kingdom's, and then you have another group that says vice versa, even though everybody collectively agrees that both Tomorrowlands need severe work on.
Yeah, they do.
But I think it's interesting, like how everyone has like a different perspective of either Tomorrowland. That's very interesting. Now they just released. Actually, you're the one that sent me the link. I'll actually share my screen really quick. This is coming from Scott Gustin, but you sent me the link that Autopia's gas engines will be retired in early 2027 as part of the attraction's transition to new fleet of fully electric vehicles. Disneyland officials tell the OC Register Imagineers are currently developing and testing the fully electric Autopia vehicles. And I'm assuming we'll probably get a glimpse of those electric vehicles maybe on the showroom floor at D23 or in concept art during the experience showcase.
But I think that's a pretty good start. I mean,
yeah,
if Autopia thing, like the electric engine thing, actually works, then that also means that Tomorrowland Speedway is also going to be a big change too, with changing from diesel smelling type of engine into electric engine right there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, like how they started with that Disneyland's Autopia, but they didn't mention Magic Kingdom, which I'm for sure it'll probably lead to that anyway. And then Magic Kingdom's Buzz Lightyear got the revamp, but the one out here has not. So I think
that one I heard, and then I heard people telling me that Magic Kingdom's a remodel is a perfect renovation right there. I think Drew was also like praising it so much that like he said that it's probably the best upgrade that like this Disney Magic Kingdom needed for the Buzz Lightyear.
And we just missed it before it opened. We missed it by a few weeks for us to experience it ourselves. Was there anything else for the Disneyland section that you wanted to bring up or address or talk about?
Yeah, I kind of do. Like the Small World. Actually, I like the Disneyland's A Small World so much better than Magic Kingdom. Like I think the whole entrance itself is like kind of shows that I think Disneyland's a small world is like a actually their signature zone is how I would say it. And then I've also noticed that the animatronics inside the ride, they added a lot of like IP cameos included, like such as Stitch, Lilo, Woody and Jesse, and also oh, I actually like the fact that they actually added a lot of more Korean animatronics in there. So I was like, oh hey, like they actually have more Korean animatronics than the Magic Kingdom does. They only have like 2 right there, but over here there's like 5 or 6 right here.
Well, Abby
So
actually pointed out the Filipina representation doll.
yeah, I
On
saw that too.
yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I do love how over here at Disneyland, like there's a lot of representation of the culture, which yeah, I'm surprised Walt Disney World doesn't really add a lot of that, it being that they get a lot of international travelers, but yeah, you could kind of tell the difference like between like with Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And well, especially too because it's the original It's a Small World, where it starts outside, in the boats and everything. So
Yeah, I think Magic Kingdom definitely needs like an exterior upgrade. I get that, they made it into indoor thing because of the rain, like downpouring rain all the time at the Orlando all the time, but I just think that they should just kind of renovate the exterior to make it a little bit more visual and appealing than just like a little small sign of a small roll right there. I think they should do a little bit better job to attract more of the people's audience. The Fantasyland and Magic Kingdom is like kind of like dying in a way sense because yeah, you have to understand the Rapunzel's the Tangled, the famous bathroom is only
bathroom,
yeah. Like it's suffering, man. I don't know what to do with that. Like I think they should actually have its own attraction for that in the future.
they should. They should. Even though that the blackbirds or the crows are ripping out Rapunzel's hair over in Tokyo, but
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people say that it's a very long wait time to go on the ride, and it's a very short ride. But I would take that any day than just have. I mean, don't get me wrong; those are nice bathrooms. I think they're some of the nicest bathrooms in Magic Kingdom. But like, I would love to have a fully immersive ride.
Funny thing is that I think somebody actually mentioned this to me that the Foursquare app, the form like the where it used to be popular. Somebody said that there's actually a Rapunzel bathroom as an attraction. Is it labeled as attraction? People have put a review on it.
That's
And they're like it's refreshing and a wonderful experience within the Rapunzel world or something like that.
oh, that's great. That's great. So was there okay, so you mentioned like some of the rides you've been on, and then you mentioned some of the other rides that you have not been on. Was there anything else that you didn't get to do that you would still like to experience?
Yeah, I think Monsters Inc. was one of the ride that I was not able to ride on.
Mm.
I actually want to try that, and then also I wanted to spend a little bit more time in Cars Land, like the Luigi's attractions. One of the Luigi's attraction that I've noticed that I missed out.
That's
then,
a really fun ride, especially me after having 4 Italian margaritas at Downtown Disney and then going on Luigi's. That was interesting.
right, and then also the what is it, the Pixar Pier, and then the San Francisco. I didn't really get to fully experience that. That was also a disappointing situation for me. Lastly, what that I wanted to do was the Food and Wine Festival that I completely missed out in every booth, but the lines were just way too crazy. Like it was all over the place, and I was like, oh, I'm not waiting for that. Like I said, if it was like the second day that I might have traveled to go for this park, then I might would have done that. That's what.
Yeah, next time you come out, and unfortunately, I really wanted to meet up with you. I really did. It was the scheduling and the timing because actually, Abby and I were down there for. It was on Earth Day. It was April 22nd because you were in the park that day, and we were over at the Pixar Place Hotel waiting in line to meet Wally and Eve because it was their second to last day because they were meeting in the month of April, so it was every Wednesday. And yeah, 2.5 hours to meet Wally and Eve. And people say that Wally is not relevant anymore. I beg to differ after that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so next time you come out, I definitely want to set aside some time to, possibly for us to meet up, and that way, because I do love hanging out with people that do come over as a traveler, because then I can relive that moment of going through, okay, let's go ride after ride. Let's do this. Let's do that. There are times I do enjoy that because I love the different aspects of, living the life of a local, but also still living the glory days of me being a traveler, so it's the best of both worlds for that.
Also, Din Tai Fung.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the best restaurant I've eaten for Asian cuisine and Taiwanese cuisine. I never imagined that like the dumplings and the soup inside the dumplings that they gave were actually really, really good. And I said, I can now understand why this place gets so booked all the time. It's impossible to even like reserve.
Oh, it is. It's very hard. Like we recently went there. I dined there twice in that specific location thus far, and both times it did not disappoint. And yeah, I agree with you. I could see why it is so hard to get a reservation, because I don't think there's one thing that I've had on their menu thus far that I didn't like.
Yeah. That I said, you know what? Like, if I had to put this as like a Din Tai Fung compared to any other Walt Disney World's Chinese or Taiwanese or like that type of cuisine right there, I probably would say Din Tai Fung is like probably way on the top right there. I probably give it like 8.5 to 9 out of 10. That's just my review.
Okay.
Like I said, as you know, the last time I complained about Blue Dragon in the epic universe was like the absolutely like travesty that I said whoever made this restaurant like really doesn't know how Asian cuisines work. That's just
so would you say Blue Dragon is more like of a traditional like theme park sit down restaurant where they have the kind of food, but it's not like the actual authentic food? It's more like and I hate to put it in this matter, but like a knockoff.
I think you're just like putting it up as nicer way than me. And that's just like you have no idea how insulted I was when I was eating that, and I left like the most meanest review on Google review. So the manager legitimately like contact me in person.
Wow.
And asked me like what made me so upset, kind of thing right there.
So that's what I'm saying. So would you say, like, in comparison, without it being authentic, would you say it's just like traditional like theme park knockoff food, so to speak, but in a sit down version? Is that
I feel like traditional theme park knockoff food is even better than this place.
Really? Wow.
Like, because at least a traditional theme park knockoff is like at least trying to give a flavor that put a lot of MSGs or whatever they're putting into like at least give some satisfactions for the customers. This has no satisfaction whatsoever. I feel like the chef down there didn't even give a damn. I feel like because he's picking his nose while he was just like playing with the ladle right there. He's like, yeah, whatever, just send it over. I'm like, what is like at least if you're gonna call yourselves 4-star restaurant, at least put an effort into it, like, or try that you actually did, try that you actually want to please some customers. And people who leave reviews like 4 to 5 out of 5 on that review, I feel like they're either paid off or they just really have no taste bud, or I don't understand. Like, if somebody asked me, hey, do you want to go get a Blue Dragon, I'd be like, you know what, if we're staying at the Helios, let's just call Uber Eats and just like ask for Panda Express at that point.
Now, in time, would you ever consider trying it again to see if they fixed any of the thing, or was that like a one and done for you?
If they pay me, I'll go. If they pay me and they tell me that the management is changing and they want to give me the food that I tried with the different menus or something, I'll give it a try. But I surely am not gonna pay my money to go eat that food right there.
All
Yeah,
right. Okay. Um,
because like they really disappointed me to a core that I just couldn't like wonder why I spent $100 on that in that area right there.
okay. Now, I wanted to go back to because you had mentioned that you didn't have the opportunity to ride Monsters Inc. over here, and I have to ask you, just for fun, just for kicks, where are you in your mindset with Avatar going into that space? With a
Oh,
lot
that's
of
the space
people
that
kind of
Avatar's going? Oh boy. I'm like, no wonder why that area was like so dead and empty when I was about to leave. I was like, why is this area so deserted? It looks like there's like it became a zombie raccoon city going on right there. I was like, what is going on here? I get that it's like almost similar to Disney Hollywood Studios, where that New York area is just like completely emptied out, so they just kind of raised that complete zone right there. It feels like a deja vu again, where Galaxy's Edge just like completely took over this like the New York City location. Uh, I will say I don't mind, I guess, as long as like James Cameron brings his magic and then tries to bring that area into like a perfect reality like Pandora and Disney Animal Kingdom. That's just me. Like I don't have I get that the parks are very cramped up in like small space, but what are you gonna do with that? Like it's but if that area is pretty much a dead space and they want to replace it with Avatar or something, at least put an effort and try to make it as magical as Pandora and Disney Animal Kingdom. That's all I
okay,
ask, really.
okay.
And then
Um,
when that big circle thing shows up in that park right there, I'm gonna pose myself and do the Kamehameha, the Avatar, like like Dragon Ball Z, and then somebody's gonna take a photo of me doing that. And I'm just gonna be like, right there. And then
that's great.
I am definitely going to do that pose right there because that circle is the first thing that comes to my mind, or something like if someone Iron Man does like the unibeam and then it's just like blasting right into the sky. that's that's just my imagination right there. But like I said, Joe Rody, James Cameron, do your thing, make your magic happen. Both of them have done so well in Pandora. If they're both working together, I won't ask for anything more.
That's a very true statement. I didn't really think of it because Joe Rody was the headliner of the Imagineers during that project for Kingdom, and now since he's been retired but kind of came back as like a consultant, that I do wonder if he has any say so with that, because if he doesn't, that's also a factor that is going to be different than what was done at Animal Kingdom. I never really thought of it until you actually just said his name right now. That's quite fascinating.
Like I said, if both of them are working on the project, I won't ask any issue. I won't have any issues with them because obviously, Josh actually has something in his mind that how he wants that park to be done, and originally when Bricky was like talking about it, I also have a very high hopes for it about the Disneyland Forward project. So I don't think there's gonna be any issues. Like people always kind of like want to have like a fear, fear, doubt, or uncertainty that the people always like think negative first before they think positive. So like they're gonna be like, oh, is this project going to be doomed? Is it doomed, dead on arrival? I mean, you don't know that. Like,
I mean, that is true. I mean, I will admit I am one that I'm concerned with it, but I'll always say, even if I give my straight on initial opinion of what I think of it, I always say If I'm wrong, I will eat the crow, and I always like to still keep the open mind until I actually see something in front of me, then I'll give my full opinion on it. But for me to say, "Oh, it's definitely 110% not gonna work," I can't say that because I don't know what they have planned, I want them to succeed, so I hope that my concern is not correct, And as I said, I want to see Avatar actually in DCA. I feel like DCA needs it. It needs a lot more to do because it already feels like a half day park. I think the only concern that I have is just the location of where Avatar is going and how
Oh
it's,
yeah, yeah, that
you know,
definitely.
yeah, of like how it's going to transition off of Buena Vista Street, and then you have Avengers Campus on the other side. I think that's more so my only um concern, not necessarily the space itself. I think once they like knock down all those buildings and everything, they're going to have a decent sized plot of land. It's just making everything else cohesive around it. That's my thing. Um, so now moving over to Universal Studios for FanFest. Now this is your first time at Universal Hollywood, correct?
Yes, it
And this
is.
is also your first FanFest.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So give us the scoop. What was your initial thought of the park itself, its layout, the things to do, and then also FanFest itself?
Aside from the fan fest, like the Universal Hollywood, I kind of hate that park because of the way how the customer service treated me. Like, no, no, I mean, like the customer service at the guest services were very kind to me, but the rest of the park within that like the area were not so nice. Because even though I had the VIP pass and everything, they didn't treat me like a VIP. They treated me like I'm just a regular park attendee. Because I said that I didn't want to do the whole like the escort thing because I have friends like walking around the park with me. So they're like, okay, do whatever you want. So okay, so I did. And then I was like, you know what? I'm getting hungry. So I'm just gonna go get something to eat at the what is it? The Moe's Grill or no, Krusty Burger. So I
Okay.
said, "Hey, I have a VIP pass. Can I use that for a meal?" And then the lady's like, "No, you cannot use that pass for the meal." And I was like, "Why?" It says that I'm allowed to do so. And then she's like, "You can only use that meal for free if you're with the group that was doing the tour." And I was like, "That's weird." I was like, I never heard of that before because as far as I know in Orlando Universal, even if you have a VIP pass and you're not going with the group, the ticket itself already provides a meal that is like included in for you. So the
Yeah.
manager,
I mean, I will say, yeah, park operations in Florida and California run very different
yeah,
between like I don't know like why certain things work in one park over the other. I'm not sure how that
no, but even still, that you do you understand? Like it's like you pay so
you
much.
paid for it. Oh yeah, you paid for it. So yeah, why? I'm just saying, like I'm just very curious why
Yeah, so I asked. So
it's
the
like
manager comes along and he's like, "Is there a problem?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to eat the meal." Because it includes the VIP pass, and he's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, that's like part of the policy, and like that you had to be with the crew that was like doing a tour, and then when the tour is like everyone else gets the meal, you also have to eat at the same time that they're given." And I was like,
wait, so it can that meal can go towards any of those restaurants, but everyone has to collectively eat at the same restaurant.
"That's what they're saying," and I'm like, I never heard of that before. And I said, and that doesn't make any sense. What if I don't want to eat during that time because I'm not hungry? And then they're like, "I'm sorry, sir, but like that's just how the policy is. I can't.
So
We can't."
basically, you then paid into something that you couldn't use.
And I was like, "Bro, did I just get conned right here?"
Well, yeah, in a way, yeah, you did because you paid for something that you then couldn't use that you weren't aware of that you had to use it in a certain way.
Yeah. And then
Wow.
another hilarious part is that actually, because my friends are like, you know what? If you can't get that food, we don't want to eat this food, so we'll just go outside to the city walk and eat something. So we went out and ate something. You know, after we ate, we came back, and then guess what happens? I said that, oh, you know what? I never actually went to the VIP lounge, so I'm just gonna go to the bathroom and then like see the lounge and everything just to see what it feels like, so I can record my experience with it. The moment I came in, they were only like 30 minutes away, like 30 minutes before they changed to the FanFest time shift right there.
Hmm.
They just told me that I can't get into the VIP lounge or the bathroom. And I said, why not? And then they're like, oh, because it's starting to shift into the time that we're accepting FanFest VIP users, so we can't have you use that bathroom anymore. I'm like, I said, this is wild, man. This is like wild. I literally have not used it my
So
past.
what did you get out of the VIP?
Just a unlimited express pass. So I'm like, why am I wasting money on this thing? Like, and I was about to make a video of it. I'm like, Universal Hollywood is like the biggest thieves of this park.
Wow. So did you end up using the Express?
Yes, I did. I actually rode like a couple of rides right there, and but what upsets me is that like the Fast and the Furious ride was not ready yet. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, oh, like what a bad timing. I heard that it's supposed to open around summer, so
They said summer. I'm thinking mid to late June is what I'm thinking.
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe in the future, if I visit again, maybe we'll see what happens. But that was crazy. I was like, this is crazy. I can't even understand like what this is. Um. So even with the so like going forward with the FanFest Universal,
Mhm.
that was also pretty disastrous too, because they couldn't manage the line for the foods very well. That everyone was like confused. Where's the food line? Where's the food
Okay, so I
line?
have something to tell you, and this is probably really going to piss you off. So the One Piece food you can now get during regular park operations. We were able to get it, and it was like we we waited only maybe like 10 minutes. Where when you try to get it for FanFest, you're waiting in like a 2-hour line.
Oh god, please killing me, please. What the heck is this? Oh my god. What was that first day of the experience like that? It's an experience of, oh, we learned our lesson and now we'll just fix it for those people who had their nightmares.
But yeah, there were some like in like the beginning, there were like a lot of operational issues that needed to be kinked out, like as for instance like that for the food, because we didn't try any of the food at FanFest when we went because the lines were just too it was a debacle. And then the line for Sailor Moon, because we really wanted to meet Sailor Moon, we waited around and we all started kind of lining up because it said on the app she was going to come out right at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
15 minutes passed. She didn't show. Then they said, okay, we have to clear out this area. She's not coming out till Abby, if you're still on, it was like 7 something, I think. And then she ended up not even coming out till like 8 or something or other. And the line filled up within seconds. And it's like we never got to see Sailor. Like we passed by, we were able to see her, but to actually get in line and meet her, it was like damn near impossible.
Oh wow. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to wait.
But I have to give it to you because you were the one that said prior to all FanFest, even from last year, that I have to say I could not see anime in a theme park. But I have to say, after last year's FanFest and this year's FanFest, I actually can't foresee them not utilizing anime with
because
Sailor Moon.
it's the age of anime as of right now. With the way it's going, Like any of the old cartoon IPs that Americans, like the Western, industry have been using, they've been slowly dying away. No offense to them, but
Mhm.
that's just the undoubtable truth. If you look at it right now, if anybody is actually watching, do you see Looney Tunes in the show? Do you see Cartoon Network? Because at the end of the day, you don't.
Yeah.
And even Warner Brothers is now selling their company to Paramount. How are you think is sure that Paramount is actually going to revive all those Cartoon Network stuff? Because the most likely is that the answer is no. And that's why I was at the time I was like supporting the idea of Netflix, because Netflix actually will revive all those old shows in the streaming platform. And then Netflix still to this day is still one of the best streaming platform in the world because of the like streaming engine that they're using. It's a very well utilized engine that 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 doesn't have an issue with the like a rendering or like roaming or anything like that. So Paramount app absolutely sucks balls. No offense to that, but that's just how it is. Like every time I'm trying to watch something, I have to turn back on the subtitle. I have to turn back on the language. Like it makes no sense to me. And even for Peacock, Peacock is an awful app too. So for me, I will say that Netflix is still one of the best one. In Disney Plus can't even follow that. Disney Plus still lacks in what Netflix still does well in. So for me, like I feel like any old shows or old movies, streaming is the best way to go to rewatch what you missed the most.
I
And
agree. Yeah.
and the
Well,
anime right now, if in Universal Japan in Osaka, anime and video games are always collaborating every season, which means that they actually have like Final Fantasy on a roller coaster ride, or Neon Genesis Evangelion in the roller coaster rides. They have Demon Slayer and the roller coaster rides, or attractions, or like the foods all the time. And that's the reason why the Western people fly over to the Universal Tokyo. I mean Universal Osaka, and they enjoy having those attractions. And the last year, like I think I mentioned it to you that One Piece is just going to completely destroy that fan fest. And lo and behold,
oh, it did. It did. Last year when they just had the meet and greet, it was bonkers. And then they had the meet and greet this year, but then with Sailor Moon coming in, that was like meeting Elvis, because as I said, you couldn't even get in the line. It was like closed off in 2 seconds. And then in the Kung Fu Panda Theater last year, they changed it over to Jujutsu Kaisen, and then it was Sailor Moon this year. But I have a feeling like moving, and then One Piece in the Waterworld amphitheater. That was an awesome show.
it
Uh,
was an option show, but I also heard it from Sean. He didn't like it. Sean Ranking the Mouse did not like the show.
oh, you didn't like it?
He said it was a 7 out of 10 because he didn't understand the plot line of the story. He was very confused by who these villains are
Well,
and
here's the
who.
thing. So am I, because I have to admit I haven't watched One Piece, but I will say from watching the show, it makes me want to watch to know. But yeah, I really honestly don't know who any of the characters are. I didn't really
Yeah,
know the plot line, but I think just the show in general, I thought with the pyrotechnics, with the stunts, with I thought everything was done very well. But I think moving forward, especially with FanFest, if they bring Final Fantasy, Demon Slayer, Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z in some format, oh my gosh, that's going to be gangbusters.
funny thing that you say that because Netflix and the One Piece creator is remaking One Piece from the very first chapter, reanimating everything for
Oh,
those people who are very unfamiliar with the series. And this is without fillers or whatever extended stuff extra stuff that he has created. Without them. So the people who are just unfamiliar with everything just want to go straight forward with the just a original plot line. This would be the time that you would sit down and watch. That would be the case. And obviously, for those people who actually has not actually watched the live action, it's also a pretty nice time to watch it right now. Like the first season is okay, second season is just really so good. Like that's just like how it is. And I actually ran into David Dasmalkian at the store Universal
Mhm.
Hollywood, and he is the one who actually played the role of Mr. Three in One Piece second season as a villain.
Wow.
Yeah, and
I don't know how
my
you do it. You end up finding them, like the people and everything. Because as I said, when we were at D23, you were like the selfie king with everybody. Like,
I wish I had that talent in Final Fantasy 14 Expo because everyone was meeting the director except me. So every time I'm somewhere, they're like, hey, I met this like I saw the director over here." And then even at the hotel, like after the expo was over, he was like having a drinking party with like the people like, with the fans at the what is it, Marriott Hotel in Anaheim,
mhm.
close to the convention. I was so angry at myself. I'm like, I booked the wrong hotel, and I'm like staying right here, drinking, like quote drinking because I wasn't really drinking, but I was like at some like Japanese bar with a friend of mine. And I'm like I missed the most opportunity of my life, and I'm just so sad. That's what I said, and then they're like, dude, you met David S. Malcolm. Like, what more do you need? And I'm like, everything. I came to California for 7 hours flight. I expect everything that whoever I see, whoever I meet. That's like my priority right there.
Of
But
course.
yeah, Das Malcolm was very unintentional. He was actually shopping, like just looking at
Wow.
clothes and just asking, "Hey, can I take a photo?" And I took a photo with him. The man is very nice. He's like the really down to earth guy. I've heard that he was a very kind person. He is a very down to earth. Like I can tell that he is very happy to take photo with his fans and everything. I'm pretty sure he was there for the first opening of the fan fest, and that's to celebrate it because he. The funny thing is that his son is actually a huge fan of One Piece. So when he decided to take the role as a villain in the live action show, I think that's the reason why he was like so excited about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, what were some of the things that you were able to experience at FanFest?
Food, drinks, and then for the Sailor Moon side, and then the what is it? The One Piece drinks. I actually reviewed. I actually paid for every single of those non-alcoholic drinks, and I tasted every single one of them.
What did you think of them?
Um, Everything except the green ones were the best. Everything else was just really bad. I was like, actually, the one with the ginger cinnamon one on the for the orange one was not so bad if you like ginger, but the green one is probably the best in my personal opinion. Red one was so bad, and then the iced tea was really bad. Um, so in case if anybody is interested in buying those non-alcoholic drink, uh, here's my advice: get the green one. And then as for the foods, I also tried every single of those food dishes during that day. Um,
Oh, really? Wow.
yeah. So I actually think the bone one is probably the best of the number one. Um,
Hmm.
and then the burger was actually the second best. And then the third, fried rice, and then the spicy katsu. Spicy katsu was not bad, but I am disappointed that it was chicken and not pork.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I had that dish, and then I tried some of Abby's the on the bone one.
yeah,
That actually is my favorite, I think, out of everything.
yeah. So if you're doubting any of those foods, then just go for the burger one, and then the burger one is probably one of the best that I've eaten so far. I recommend that. But I'm not too surprised from the chefs who were not familiar with like cooking Asian foods right there. So fried rice and the kimchi fried rice and everything. They're probably like confused, like, why am I cooking this thing? But um, especially chicken katsu really tasted like I'm eating like chicken parm cutlet instead. So that's why I was a little disappointed on that. They're not tenderized well either. So
So
um,
when did you get the hat that you're wearing now? Did you get it when you were in the store shopping?
yes, I was in the store shopping. I was in completely in short sleeve and short sleeve shirt and short sleeve pants, and I didn't think that it was going to be cold. I'm a tourist, so when it comes
Mhm.
down to California in the daytime is like warm and everything. My friend told me you should bring a long sleeve. I was like, yeah, it's fine. I mean, California is probably like Orlando. How cold can it be? And I was like, and then after once the sun went down, I was like, you know what? It's really cold. I'm getting I'm getting a long sleeve, and then I noticed that this hat was like there were only two left in stock too. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy the hat because if I come back and try to get it, it's gonna be gone.
Of
So
course.
yeah.
Yeah. Did you go on the tram for the Scooby Doo Universal Monsters, or did you skip that?
No, I actually did go to the Scooby Doo tram thing. While they were trying to give me a tour, like trying to explain this direction right there, I actually fell asleep throughout the whole tram ride.
Oh
And then
yeah, we were all dozing off too. Like it's like especially when it's pitch dark at night, like and it like you get those little bumpies in like on the tram. Yeah, you just want to like knock out and take a little siesta.
yeah, so when I got up, they gave me like a paper and pen. They told me to start solving the puzzle. And I'm like, wait, what's the direction again? That was my direction. I'm like, oh god, what am I doing right here? Um, but I didn't really do the whole like full like solve the mysteries resolution right there because at that time my legs were really hurting and for standing too long and waiting on the line at One Piece and like like other food lines for so long. I just said, you know what? I'll just like kind of do this for a bit and then I'll leave. So I never really found out the villain because the line was like really crazy, for people like waiting to see who the culprit was. So I said, so my deduction said, you know what? Everyone's a culprit for being involved. I'm just going back home. And I was like, I'm not doing this puzzle solving. And then guess who it is? I
Did,
just said,
did you see the unveiling? Like because there was a line to actually see the finale.
yeah,
Or
that line was so long. It's like 30-minute long. People were standing right there. And I
yeah,
said, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this. I said, everyone's all guilty. We're riding on the tram. We're going back. Like it doesn't matter. You all like even if one is a culprit, everyone are accomplices. They're all getting arrested.
so one way or the other, you were right.
Yeah. So when I went back, I didn't get to do the Dungeons and Dragons, but I saw the Yoshi thing right there, and I was like, you know what? I kind of do want to like take photo with other colorful Yoshis, but
Did you
uh,
see the Yoshi dance?
I saw the one of the recordings on TikTok. Um,
Okay.
so I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. I just like don't want to like go take a photo like of those Yoshis, but there were not a lot of people comparing to One Piece though. Like that I noticed like the Scooby Doo and then the Yoshi section, like comparing to One Piece and Sailor Moon crowd right there were not a lot of
I
people.
agree. There was people for Scooby Doo and there was people for Yoshi's, but yeah, I agree. Like on the upper lot, when it came time for One Piece and Sailor Moon, I mean, it was like tighter than Fort Knox to get in those.
So my assumption is this: like because Universal is now aware of how popular this is, like even with the Harry Potter and everything, the Harry Potter the Dark Forest was not even that crowded either. So my assumption is that they know what the numbers are. Now the question is, are they gonna build a park or attraction for these audience in the future?
I really think they should. I don't know if they'll do it in Universal Hollywood because of the restriction of like where they could put it. I think Universal Orlando definitely needs to. for sure.
because if you weren't aware, Super Mario Brothers Galaxy right now, the movie,
Mhm.
the box office is right at $950 million right now.
I heard it's like on going to be the verge of the first $1 billion movie of 26.
Yeah, so it's about to break a billion pretty like within by the end of this month. That's my assumption, and and knowing that Nintendo is bringing Universal and Comcast a lot of money, like it's kind of stupid of them not to replace any of the parks that are in the Universal Orlando when they know that there's not a lot of people crowding over that area as much, like the Toontown or Marvel Hero Island or Lost Continent. The Islands of Adventure is literally dying. Is is how I would say it. And I know a lot of old people, old fans are going to be like, no, it's not dying. But to the company owners and the business perspective right there, comparing to Epic Universe and whatever is happening in the Fan Fest right now, they know that the numbers are not lying.
Well, my suggestion was to transform Toon Lagoon into One Piece because you already have the vibrant, bright colors, and One Piece is set basically on water. I mean, you already have two water attractions that could be revamped for One Piece.
Yeah.
So I think honestly, Toon Lagoon should become One Piece. Um, and yeah, I would heavily like dive into, obviously Pokemon is definitely going somewhere. I don't know where, but there is like heavily talks that Pokemon is going somewhere in Florida.
A lot of people are speculating that Pokemon is gonna go to replace the Simpsons ride, but I think that's like probably the most dumbest attempt.
I agree. I honestly I agree. I think to put Pokemon in the studio, it
No,
it
studio is
does
fine.
it
Just
does
one attraction is a bad idea. Like trying to turn that, the Back to the Future ride that was replaced into the Simpsons ride, and then trying to have the poorly done Simpsons ride into Pokemon. That is a very bad idea, and that
I
and I'm gonna explain why. That ride is not a fun ride. Is just like nauseating, and it's like not that in like fun attraction. So instead of doing that, completely raise that ride and then like change it into something original, like something new. Um, and you don't even have to have like a 3D ride on for Pokemon. Pokemon itself is already a big franchise as it is. So if you have like a Pokemon Center with like a merchandise selling right there specifically for Universal Orlando, that area is just going to be crowded as hell. Like just put Pikachu's right in the middle of that stage right there for a photo shoot. People are going to line up like crazy over there. You don't need a 3D attraction just to appeal for
Yeah,
fans.
and I agree. I think they need more than just reskinning a type of vehicle where it was Back to the Future, then The Simpsons, and now Pokemon. I think they need a full fleshed out land. And I would even suggest, as much as I love Mythos, I'm like, don't touch Mythos. But if they want to turn the rest of Lost Continent into Pokemon, I'm cool with that. If they want to add it in somewhere in Epic Universe, I'm cool with that. But yeah, I definitely feel like Pokemon, its franchise, its IP, its presence is going to be in Universal, one way or the other. And as far as FanFest is concerned, if they did a Pikachu meet and greet, oh my gosh, like we thought Sailor Moon and One Piece lines went. If they had Pikachu, like that would be, it would be all over.
Mm-hmm.
But was there anything else that you wanted to bring up for Universal, for FanFest?
Yeah. So, what is it? Halloween Horror Night.
Yeah.
So I think Universal has a pretty good idea that Halloween Horror Night, they should like really consider about bringing more Eastern IPs into the Halloween Horror Night type of theme. So as of right now, Silent Hill from last year and this year is going to be like a really big thing going on. What is it? A Silent Hill F was a big seller of the game right there. It would fit perfectly for this year's Halloween Horror Night if they ever want to consider doing that. And then Resident Evil Requiem was also a big seller this year. Like, and this was a big win for Capcom as well too. I think it would fit perfectly bringing that into this as well. Like the idea.
That would be another one too with Capcom if they added more, even with FanFest, like bring like Mega Man. Oh man, that would be really cool. That'd be
Yeah, Mega
nostalgic.
Man would be nice. Like, but I have a feeling that as of right now, like with the whole thing going on, I feel Disney might be actually looking at non-partnered like companies that are like non-partners.
Oh really?
John Megatrain was like, "Can you take off the hat and show us what's on it?" It's a it's a hat from one of the character named Chopper, the little reindeer. I mean, he wears his hat right here. So,
That's
but
cool.
yeah. Let's see, what was I talking about?
Oh, a Capcom.
Yeah, Capcom. I actually was like talking with somebody about it. I said I kind of wish Disney actually partnered up with Capcom. I don't know if you ever heard of a game called Monster Hunter before.
Sounds familiar.
Yes,
Yeah.
a Monster Hunter is like you create a character, you go out into the wilds like full of like all kinds of like exotic monsters or like dinosaurs and all kinds of creatures right there. Your job is to kill like each of these monsters that are like hurting the like other animals or creatures as well as like humans, destroying the ecosystem. And you're licensed monster hunter basically out in the jungle and wild. So in a sense, I said, Monster Hunter would be a perfect ideal theme of a IP to put into Disney Animal Kingdom as a replacement for dinosaurs. Because in a
Hmm.
way, um Monster Hunter actually has like dragons or like actual like exotic dinosaurs and type of creatures that are actually out there hurting other animals and humans, like while destroying the ecosystem. And yes, your job um, as a hunter to kill these to make sure that you balance out the ecosystem of the world. And and in a way sense like creating like some kind of like a virtual simulator of like a monster hunter where you're going out with monster hunters and try to fight like the big dragon-like creature called Rathalos that's destroying the ecosystem. So you're fighting it and killing it, and then you're like taking the parts of like such as like the skins or scales and the foods and everything, and then having like a attraction where like a dining attraction where you have a lot of monster hunter related type of foods right there.
Okay. Yeah,
Think
I
of
can see Disney kind of going that route so they can utilize that kind of realm where they're kind of using IP, but they're not, it's not something of their own because really Disney doesn't really have anything with dinos in their own IP except for the movie Dinosaur, The Good Dinosaur, but they really didn't work, obviously. But to do something like that, or since now they own like the Fox properties, if they can get like Planet of the Apes or Predator in there, it kind of fills in that void, like where you can kind of fit it in that Animal Kingdom kind of theme. I think that would be really cool. Um,
right.
so yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah,
If,
so a lot of people have told me that that's unrealistic. It doesn't fit in Disney Animal Kingdom. But like, if that part is not realistic, then how do you explain Avatar and the Pandora? Because that also is like part of like saving the ecosystem. And then also this, Monster Hunter makes way better sense than comparing to Zootopia and as an attraction into the Disney Animal Kingdom. If we really want to get deep on that, because obviously people don't like the idea of having Zootopia in the Disney Animal Kingdom as it is
See,
right now.
I was all for having Zootopia in Animal Kingdom at first, but then the more that I started thinking about it, and especially after seeing the show Inside the Tree of Life, which I actually liked it more than what I seen online. I thought it was kind of cute, but to have a full-fledged land and an attraction in Animal Kingdom, I feel like Zootopia would fit somewhere else other than Animal Kingdom, to be honest. Um, yeah, I actually think that more of Avatar, um, of what you were describing, and then as I said, like with Planet of the Apes and Predator, I feel like even though that they're kind of like a fictional fantasy kind of thing, but yet it still fits in the realm of conservation and with the ecosystem and like with nature and creatures and animals and plants and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
So,
yeah,
but if anything, also, Drew actually wants Fortnite Land in Disneyland.
I have heard him mention that he does want Fortnite in there.
But with the way it's going, I think both companies need to start looking a little bit more anime and video games a little bit more. And with the way, what is it, the K-pop Demon Hunters, the way that the animation direction was going,
Mhm.
I think people are more into that type of animation direction
Well,
than the.
I went to go see the sing along version of that in theaters. I absolutely loved it. I think they underestimated that movie where it was just released on Netflix. I think if that was a full theatrical release, it would have made a lot more money than even already than what it made.
Listen, as somebody who's like Korean myself, and then when I watched the trailer and then the title itself, I actually cringed so hard. Like I just like put my head down. I was like, why would you name that title as K-pop Demon Hunters? Like like, oh please, Lord God, I hope that the movie is at least better than the title as it sounds. And I actually sat down and watched the movie, and I was like, this is going to be like one of the biggest movie change in the animation industry. That's what I
Mhm.
said. I said, I don't know how to explain this, but this really makes Disney fans look like they're in a frog in a well.
I mean, the animation, yeah, the animation is gorgeous. The soundtrack is popping, no pun intended. The storyline I thought was very intriguing, very genius. It was very different. So yeah, I mean, I actually I can't wait to actually see the sequel.
Well,
And I'm glad that it won't take as long to make. I don't think as what they said it was supposed to be.
funny thing is that while I was like kind of scrolling through the social media, one of the animator of that movie was kind of like saying that originally that type of idea was originally presented in Disney Studios, and it was rejected after the fears of what might happen if they release that type of
I
movie.
can believe that because again, Disney kind of dropped the ball on that one, just like how they dropped the ball with Bluey.
Yeah, Bluey is also thing, but I think that was like around the time when they released Turning Red, as well as Strange World. And then I think people like they were kind of afraid of like release. Oh, what if we release like Asian type of like theme into the animation right there, and into the movie, and then people would call it woke and they wouldn't watch it because it's like Disney, Disney.
I got you.
I think that's where they were like, don't kind of release that kind of idea, but I think they kind of regret on not doing that because after the release of K-pop Demon Hunters. And no matter how you see it, like even listen, like Zootopia 2 is just amazing. Like I actually love the movie. And then, Moana 2 was like kind of okay. It still did successfully.
Mhm.
But Hoppers was very good in my personal
I
opinion.
love Hoppers. Yes.
Um but Disney is struggling to create something original as of right now. Like unless it's a sequel, they're just like kind of like throwing down bones at leftover bones is how I would say it, and they're
Mhm.
not creating something original. And to this day I still like love to bring up that a particular clip from Ratatouille where the waiter goes to the customer and says, "Is there anything you like?" And then the customer says, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've already tried the sugo all the time." And says, "I want something original, something new." And then the waiter like barges into the chef room. It's like the customer just says something new, and all the like the workers are like basically Disney employees that are being afraid of like what's new right there. That's
That would be a great meme. That
It is
would
a meme. That's what I'm saying. Like it's just like it's like they're afraid of doing something new because they've been criticized so much. So now they're like, so the chef is basically Bob Iger's like, it's easy, just like like just send the old whatever like we have on the shelf and just like throw it in there and see.
throw
And
in. Oh my gosh, that is so genius! Like I never really thought of putting the two and two together, but now every time I watch Ratatouille and I see that scene, that's what I'm going to see.
yeah, and then the waiter says he wants something a little bit more this director's direction, and then the barber like he wants something more from him.
Now, now we will see because the movie Hexed will be coming out. I think later on this year. So now that's going to be an original animated movie. Let's see how that holds up. We'll see. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of where they're doing Incredibles 3, they're doing Monsters Inc. 2, they're doing Coco 2, we're getting Toy Story 5. So
Listen, like all of these sequels are gonna do well. There's no question about it
oh,
because
absolutely. Yeah.
everyone loves that IP. But that still doesn't mean that they have to like still go in the safe zone and thinking that this is gonna work all the
This
time.
is how they have to think of it. For them to be successful with all these sequels, all those movies had to be original at some point. They had to come up with an original story to say, oh, yeah, let's do Monsters Inc. Let's do The Incredibles. Let's do Coco. They were all original movies at some point that were successful that they said, okay, let's do sequels, So if you just constantly do sequels, then how can you ever get to a place where you make more originals to keep the trend going? Like the bus can't stop with just the sequels of what was already made in the past.
Right. And that's one of the things, and that's one of the reasons I actually loved Turning Red or Raya the Last Dragon, or even Elemental. And to this day, I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, Elemental was not good," and I'm like, "You're still missing the point of that movie right there. It's not Zootopia. It's Elemental has its own purpose of like you have to understand why that movie is so ingenious." And Peterson really did an amazing job on that movie. And
I enjoyed Elemental. I enjoyed Elemental. I absolutely loved Hoppers. Hoppers, I felt like it really felt like a return to Pixar of what they're used to doing. So I hope they continue that trend.
yeah, I mean, I if I actually sat down and talk about like ranking each of the movies, I think it would be like a just kind of endless right there. But but like I said, I think they're really having a little bit of identity crisis. That's just how I see it. And I know that they also had another identity crisis issue with Elio as well too, because Elio it didn't really get a positive effect as much as they thought they would.
I actually I like Elio. I didn't love it. I thought I was going to despise it, to be honest with you.
I actually liked Elio, but at
But
the same
I did enjoy it. I saw it twice in theaters, and I think the problem with Elio was it went through so many rewrites. It had different story directions that they kept changing. The promoting and the marketing of the movie fell flat, and I felt like by the time that the movie was released, it was too late to try to gain anything back. Unfortunately,
I think Jared Bush actually answered that question right there. I think like he said that like he didn't like how the story ended up being, so he and then also the fear of like what might happen if they actually did that, so he kind of like shut all those down right there, and then it ended up becoming Rush project that was originally that was like the opposite of original what the original concept was about.
yeah.
And it's kind of a shame because I get that like they don't want to get like too political or like giving certain type of message that because they already had a lot of backlashes about it, and then that ended up making them lose a lot of money right there. But that's what the Disney is about, like like you have to Walt Disney had been always like jumping the gun at like risking the business of
Oh
whatever.
yeah, it's the whole his whole career, the whole Walt Disney Company wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for Risk. Like that's that's where he was. That's where he always was. Everything, every
Yeah.
decision he's ever made was always a risk. There was never a guarantee.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that Josh will actually, follow the footsteps and without being feared that Iger will take his position back again, like with Chapek. I think everyone's kind of like fearing for their lives right now, kind of like thing right there. They're like, oh, if they make a very like big decision going on, like Iger might come back and say, "Hey, I'm gonna take over for another 10 years until I'm like 90 years old." And, and I think that's what Josh is a little bit afraid of, I guess. But you can slowly see the like the current phase of changes like one by one, even with the Star Wars right now too. So
Yeah,
um,
I do have faith in Josh. I really do. I think if there's any person that can possibly keep the trend moving, I think it is him. I will say in the very beginning, I was hesitant with another Parks guy coming in, especially what happened with Chapek. And no offense to Dana Walden, I think the position that she's got, I think she'll do great. And I think that was a great decision to kind of have that duo without it being co-CEOs. You still had one CEO, but then you had a a president, so kind of go hand in hand, where she could focus on the studio side and DeMauro can still kind of focus on the experience side, even though that he is the CEO. So I think that they'll both do very well in
you
their new.
know, I actually said that Josh is going to be the CEO. Like a lot of you, a lot of y'all he actually told me that he's not going to be a CEO. That Dana Walden's going to be one. And I was like, so that there's no way that Dana is going to be a CEO. Only because it's not that I don't disrespect her. It's just that like Josh has been the face of the company for so long that they need somebody that's on the camera face more than anybody else.
Camera face, someone that can work a crowd, and someone that would already be moving in, that's already in the good graces of the fandom. That people,
That's the reason why I said that he's going to be he was going to be the CEO.
yeah,
Alan Bergman, I get that he's been in the animation industry, but he's not. He was also not in the face of the company. It
no.
always has been Josh. It always has been Josh. It's like every time when I look at the trailer or like a commercial, there was always Josh right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And
Well, Lucas Kim, thank you so much for coming on this Hollow Gelato Live and talking about the second part of your cruise, your California trip out to Disneyland and Universal Fan Fest and everything. Hopefully, we can get you back out here to have you finish what you started, to see more, and then and it's unfortunate we won't be able to meet up at D23 this year, but yeah, hopefully in the near future, yeah, as I said, we can get you back out here.
of course.
But if you want to let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
Yes, so you can follow me on iLucasK on X. That's my username right there. And then you can also follow me, and it's lucaskim.com and Blue Sky. And I also have a YouTube channel, obviously, Lucas and Disney. For currently right now, I'm not actually creating any content as of right now, only because I actually have something going on, something unofficial that I'm like holding off on, and I'll eventually like disclose it to George in the long distance future right there. So we'll go forward with that.
Awesome. Yeah, can't wait. And everyone, thank you all so much for joining this Hollow Gelato Live. I'm George, the Disney Italiano, and as I always say, in Disney Italiano fashion, stay safe, stay healthy, stay Disney. Italiano out.